Welcome to the WUG, guys. The WUG Podcast is about that feeling you get in business and life where you have no fear, no doubt, you can't fail. Welcome, guys, to the WUG Podcast. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the WUG. This is episode 5. I am sitting across from an impressive entrepreneur, Fernando Zulueta. Thank you, Fernando, for being on episode 5 of the WUG.
It's great to be here, Chris.
You know what I love is that right before we started, you asked me, what is this podcast about?
Yeah. I'm happy to jump in whenever possible.
So basically, again, an amazing entrepreneur is doing Chris Corey a huge favor by being on my podcast. So there's a few things that I wanted to start with you. Number one,
Great.
The first time I met you. First time I met you, we were at Shula's 347. And we were going to collaborate on a project. It was an event project.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We actually did.
And we actually did it and executed it. It was incredibly successful.
Yeah.
But what I liked about it is your people showed up first, right? Mm-hmm. And then you showed up and they were like, you were about to show up and they were like, hey, Fern comes kind of when Fern needs to come because he's a very busy guy. Once you got there and sat down, I was kind of blown away, man, because you did something in the middle of everybody talking and everybody bringing up problems, right? And there were a couple lawyers at the table. Is it okay if I mention what project that was?
No, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, that was Pitbull's New Year's Eve Revolution. I think that was 2016.
Yeah, 16 could have been 16, 15, 16, 16, yeah.
14.
No, probably 16.
So everybody at that table who were incredibly intelligent lawyers, incredibly intelligent entrepreneurs, are all bickering back and forth about all the problems.
Yeah,
right?
that it couldn't happen.
That this is going to happen, that that's going to happen. And you chimed in with kind of one thing. You said, okay, guys, let's take a second and step back. And I was like, whoa. Like, he just stopped, like, everyone at the table. And then you said, we're going to do this. We're going to do one of these, right? And it wasn't like we're going to go around anything. It was like, we're just going to make this work, right?
Yeah, if everybody is willing to collaborate or cooperate, then we can pull it off. We can make it work. And if I recall, I don't think it was like October, I think, when we began planning for this New Year's it was like a food and wine festival concept, except since it was Pitt, for Pitt, we wanted to be a food and wine party. Right. He was throwing a huge free concert at Bayfront Park, right?
Which he does every year.
That was only the second year. So the year before was our first year, and doing it there at the park. And the city had asked us, they'd come to us and said, look, we would like Pitbull to consider taking this on as a project. And Pitt wanted to do it, by the way. Pitt had done, before that, 2 or 3 performances out of the American Airlines Arena on New Year's Eve, the first of which was aired live on Dick Clark's Rockin New Year's Eve
right, I remember.
Program. So,
my thing was I was sitting in front of a guy who's coordinating a Pitbull event for New Year's Eve
for 200,000 people.
200,000 people.
Yeah.
And there's lawyers going back and forth, which you and I both know how that is. And you paused everybody and were just like, "Look, this is going to get done."
Yeah,
this is just going to get done. And everybody calmed down, and everybody was like, "Okay, let's figure out solutions." And I loved that, man. Yeah,
and I liked your attitude, which was, I can, we'll step up to the plate and help make it happen, and you did. And it was a success. We created, within a bigger event, a smaller event, meaning we had this free concert for 200,000 people. And what we did was create...
You can answer that.
No, I don't need to. That's the benefit of these things. You can... it's Pitbull's DJ that was calling in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So...
the President of the United States.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
just a DJ. Real important guy. It's a DJ, very important, more important. We had this big concert. We had done it the year before, and like 170,000 people showed up.
And you did it at the last minute.
Yeah, the first year was last minute. It just, the opportunity came up at the last minute. Also, it was like October, and And the folks that had done work in the park before, and the park trust, allowed us to then basically substitute and bring in Pitt as the star performer. And
they'd allowed you to bring in Pitbull.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's.
And we had done a deal with Fox TV, and it was going to be aired. Believe it or not, when we showed up at the city, not everybody, to their benefit, the mayor thought it was a great idea, and most people thought this is wonderful. Miami's going to be on the air on Fox Television Network, New Year's Eve. And yet there were still a few people that said, "Nah, we don't want to do that."
You know what, man? So now I'm going to explain to you what this podcast is about.
Okay, good.
I gave you a little bit of a hint of what it is. This podcast is about zones that entrepreneurs, business people, anyone who gets in that, you kind of get in a zone during the day, right? A tunnel vision zone.
Right.
You can't fail.
Right.
You can't make bad decisions.
Right.
You just can't. You just can't not succeed.
Right.
And capitalizing on those zones is what this podcast is about.
Good.
Right.
Because, I think some of that, I studied a little bit about that. There's a concept called...
That doesn't shock me.
It's called flow. The flow, which was done by it's a famous psychologist who has a very long Greek last name. So I would mangle it terribly, but I'll look it up for you and let you know. But this is the principle of that, of being in the zone, and it's referred to as flow by cognitive psychologists, is that and athletes know exactly what this is about because they experience it when they're in the game. I'm also a musician, so I would.
I know. I've been to your house. Thankfully, you invited me to your party, and I was very shocked to see a room full of like 30 guitars.
A lot of guitars.
And a lot of that.
Yeah, and I like to write music and play in a band.
Right.
And so musicians do this all the time, and they call it being in the pocket or being in the zone as well, being in the flow, which is when a band comes together as a group of individuals, but then becomes a unit once they all mesh together musically, and your mind rises above the music. You can hear all of it, right? You can.
I'll tell you, Fern.
Yeah.
This is episode 5.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate enough to sit in front of incredibly successful people.
Right.
And every time I do this, somebody gives me an answer.
Yeah, like an analogy or an example.
It's just different.
Good.
Matt Caldwell, CEO of the Florida Panthers, told us it was diet.
Well, diet can help, and that's a different thing.
I mean, God.
You mean like what you eat or how you eat?
Madeline Marr from Miami Herald told me it was presence. Being present.
Present in the moment, correct.
Present in the moment.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's
all, you rise above the moment or you're in it.
Rise above the moment.
Yeah, one of the telltale signs of being in the flow, let's say, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, but I think your flow is like...
Yeah, but you lose part of what... There are... You can describe what the elements of this are. One of them is that you lose the person that's flowing, let's call it, that is in that moment and undertaking that task, loses entirely the sense of time and even being. That's the human condition. That your mind strips away these superfluous things that connect you or ground you with reality, and now it is flowing freely in space with others and collaborating or working.
I absolutely love this project I started.
Yeah, it's a good project.
I'm telling you, because I'm learning and just being absolutely blown away by people's answers.
Yeah, I'll find the
go
flow just
go ahead. I don't care. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I want to give you a little bit of gratitude.
In psychology, in positive psychology.
I was a psych major, but I'm
there
going to
you
give
go.
you a little bit of gratitude here as you play around the...
Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, I can't pronounce his last name, in 1975, he kind of coined the concept, and he's done a lot of work and studies on it, and more, it's evolved, but that is really, and gamers feel that when they're meshed in their gaming world and they're playing, and they like that all these millions of Fortnite players out there, unfortunately for many of them, they're spending way too much time.
My kids are not allowed to play video games beyond like a certain time.
There you go.
They gotta play.
That's smart.
But I want to go back to giving you a little bit of gratitude. my children went to a private preschool, right? I decided to make a move, and thankfully they were accepted to the Miami Children's Museum Charter School.
That's a wonderful school.
And when they got there, they were behind all other kids.
Yeah. Well, that could, and despite being at a good school, by the way, they were at a good preschool.
They were at, we won't mention them because they were at a great one.
Good, yeah.
A great one. But they were behind, right? And then all of a sudden, 2 years later, they're at SoMe Somerset.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely just doing amazing. And
yeah. How are they doing? That's what I wanted to ask you, because they're twins, right?
Yeah. They just took their SATs. James was
really
99%. Bryce is in 98%. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
And then they're also probably the best soccer players that
I heard. I think I don't know if you mentioned it. I heard that.
And as a father, so you have very smart, proud. Very athletic.
So they're second or third grade now?
They're third grade.
Third grade.
Well, yeah, and they are. Yeah. It's just been an amazing experience. Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big believer, and that's what I do. Though, when I'm in the flow, like today, most of the day I've had all back-to-back meetings, and honestly, and you know how it is. I'm sure you feel the same way. You may struggle to get out of bed in the morning one day just because you're beat up from the day before. Yeah. Like you can barely, you don't even
zombie walk.
Exactly.
I got the zombie walk down.
Yeah, but then you go on. You go, this is going to be a lousy day. You look at your calendar. You got like 6 meetings.
I try not to.
I know. I try not to. And then you begin it, and you think it's going to be terrible. But then, lo and behold, an hour into it, you're in the flow again, and then it's all gone, and everything's perfect. You don't feel my neck doesn't hurt anymore, or my
You know what though? Like your flow idea, I love it, but I don't know if it's really what I'm talking about.
Well,
because I've seen
it is and it isn't.
It isn't. Yeah. I've seen you in what I call the WUG, which is what this is about.
Okay.
And it's an example. As I'm sure somebody else important is messaging you. I saw you in it in an environment that I wasn't prepared for.
Right.
We were sitting here in a meeting, collaborating about a project we won't mention.
Right.
And you got onto the topic of Magic Leap.
Oh yeah.
Am I allowed to talk about that?
Yeah. They're an awesome product. Yeah.
But man, you were so fired up.
I still am.
I know.
I think the technology is brilliant.
But you completely dominated the rest of that meeting over this idea that it's not even yours.
It's not my idea, but I believe in
it. Firing. And I've never seen you so excited. And man, your ideas about Magic Leap and what they could do with it, and I believe that's the WUG. It's something that takes you, in that zone, but a level above.
Okay, maybe you've identified yet another dimension to this concept of flow, which I didn't know. You created this word WUG.
Yeah, it's WUG. So I used to do
How do you spell it?
WUG.
Okay.
I made it up.
that's good.
Yeah.
That works.
Now you're writing it down.
Do you have any idea what it stands for?
It does. I used to. I'll give it to you straight.
Yeah.
I own advertising agencies.
Right.
So advertising agencies have 20-somethings,
Sure.
all around or whatever. And one day at a meeting, I asked them, "Hey guys," I'll even ask it straight to the camera. "How many of you guys are on Instagram?" And they said, like one person raised their hand. How many of you are on Snapchat? Like no one raised their hand. I'm like,
how old were they?
They're in their 20s.
How long ago was this?
This was probably 3 months ago. And
okay, well that's really messed up. I feel sorry for them.
No.
I mean, I'm not big on either of those, but I'm a whole lot older.
But this is what I did. And Matt Caldwell from the CEO of Panthers said something. He said, and Camilla, who I always want to kind of get in the shot at some point because I truly believe she's brilliant, he said, you always have to lead from the front. And this is a guy who...
Yeah, it's a difference between a leader and a boss.
Right. So I looked at them and I said, are you guys, like, what is this? Like, you guys are in your 20s.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be on these social media portals, and none of you are. And they said, well, Chris, it's not that easy.
Right.
And I said, okay. So I opened an Instagram thing where I just started talking for a minute every morning. And
cool.
Apparently, because I don't like being on camera that much, my nervousness would say, "What's up, guys?" So it was like, I would start by
so
saying,
it's like, what's up,
what's
guys?
up, guys? What's up, guys? And I did it for a couple months. People started talking. Every time I would see somebody, they would say, what's up, guys, or what's up, guys. But I'll tell you what, my younger guys started to get on Instagram and chat and Snapchat and start promoting the agency.
Right. Which is critical.
Right. So when I went to dive into this project, which I'm absolutely obsessed with now, I was coming up with a name.
The WUG.
The WUG. Bring it.
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys?
Okay.
So that's exactly what this is about. It's about overcoming potential like setbacks that your mind has and able to be successful. And when I sit across from a guy like you, right, who I absolutely, and my cousin Ryan, who you know, can tell you
He's
that
a brilliant lawyer.
Brilliant lawyer. Shout out to Ryan Carella and his podcast, Break the Business.
Break the Business,
right.
yeah.
I tell him, I said, man, Fern is like just one impressive entrepreneur.
A crazy guy. Yeah.
Do you know what? You know how many people have called me crazy on this podcast, and we've had 5 episodes? Camilla, can you count how many? Several.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call you crazy.
I'm nuts, dude, and I'm fine with it.
But I'm thinking, and I go around thinking I'm nuts half the time, so that doesn't bother me.
It's absolutely cool with me that people tell me I'm nuts. What I want to get to, man, is that higher level that you just talked about, that higher dimension.
Yeah.
When does that come for you? I'm not talking about getting excited or being operational. When does that come to you? Give me an example of Fern just being out of his mind with confidence and success and decisiveness and the whole thing.
Well, you have to be within a range. And by the way, this operates equally in the area. Okay. So I find it in myself, and you'll find it in yourself, that there's what's called the improvement range in life. There's different levels of how you become really good at something. And that was in, what's his name's book? Was it Malcolm Gladwell that had it? And when it was about the book regarding how people become the best at something. And it's the whole thing about the 10,000 hours and the whole thing.
I know that whole thing. I'm talking about Fernando Zulueta.
Right. Well, there's a level. That one does describe 3 zones.
Give me an example of Fernando Zulueta in that higher level that you described.
It happens
like when they open Slam, maybe?
Yeah, before. But even before we opened Slam, it's in conception, in developing it and in building it and in creating it with Pitt. Pitt was a big part of Slam, and he works that way too. He still is. He's got that same kind of mind.
And we've collaborated with Slam with other of our agency clients and had an amazing.
It's a beautiful program.
Yeah. And by the way, that's I'm in. Yeah. You know, I'm negotiating to have my kids go to Slam.
Well, it's a beautiful environment for the students, and the idea with that was. And that's where you stretch the limits of what you can stretch beyond to a certain level, beyond which is what they call the panic zone. You cannot, that's how athletes become better. You don't get any better at what you do if you're always in the comfort zone. That's number one. There's 3 zones. True. So there's 3 zones. There's the comfort zone. Absolutely. That's the one that you just check in and check out. But you don't really push yourself.
I got to keep on you, man, because I really want an example. One example of a situation where you, as successful as you are,
the second zone is the improvement zone. Where you're operating outside your comfort zone. Now, the example is when we were doing that for New Year's Eve. All
right, that's perfect, dude. We were all going crazy.
Right. I'd never organized something, let alone a festival concert for 200,000 people.
It was nuts, man.
And this started, the first that started working, we actually defied Fox. So year one, Fox came in and agreed to televise the event. And this was the first year Pitt did it. So we were there with the Fox executives in New York. Met in New York, but we met in California.
Does that kind of stuff make you nervous?
Well, it's a little daunting because you're dealing with people and you have the words they're using you're not familiar with. It's a world you hadn't been in.
Yeah, I get
This is not, we're not only are we organizing, we were organizing a TV show. It was a New Year's special.
Right.
And they're doing it, and they're hiring a showrunner and all these other things. And so midway into this, we're just rolling along. We're in our comfort zone initially because I'm not doing anything. Anything above my comfort zone, which meant 0, was my panic zone because I didn't have any way to improve. So for the first couple of months,
that you have a panic zone,
right,
is shocking.
Well, no, the panic zone is I don't know where you begin to set up. But we hadn't even considered doing a concert yet. This is year 1, so everything started to rotate around Fox. Through one of their and everything insider deals, not in a positive way, meaning they had a company that was opening a new hotel.
Let's clarify. Insider deals meant No,
like sponsorships, legal sponsors and things.
Deals, okay,
the things that happen within a network that are dealing with sponsors and television, all of that.
So I'll tell you one thing. We sat at actually this table.
Right.
And one of the guys involved in that New Year's Eve, event that we put on together told me, hey, if you want this to go, I want you to go out and get me 8 restaurants.
Right. There you go.
Remember that?
I remember. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, man. I drove my car straight from here.
And you went to a restaurant. Yeah, I remember.
And you want to talk about the WUG, dude? I walked in there and I was the straight king of whatever restaurant it was. I found the manager.
And that's how you have to do it.
I struck a deal. But man, I can't do that as normal me.
No, me neither. And that's how I ended up. That's how we ended up doing the concert on the park.
Yeah, because
I did it.
No, you did it.
I mean, we did it, but I had to go do it. I had to go fight with everybody in the city and get into streaming matches.
The way you fight is way different than the way I fight.
Okay, yeah, maybe. I mean, what happened was, so for like 3 months, we started this. Let's say in March.
I don't know. I didn't sleep for this.
No, but no. This is much later. We dealt. Okay, I'm talking a year before we started.
Okay, the first time. Okay.
The first year.
I was just trying to talk about me.
The first year we were working with Fox, and the whole thing became they were going to shoot the entire thing at Miami Beach in a small boutique hotel that was going to open up. I don't even remember the name. And they gave us the hotel, meaning they gave the show. They said, look, since we're not open yet, you can shoot all of the night's entertainment, and you put some of it in the can, meaning you pre-record some of the performances with like Enrique Iglesias and other performers. So they were going to be recording all this stuff, and then at the very end, you do New Year's Eve at that hotel, small place, and you do it in a small ballroom and over by the pool. They build a stage and stuff. And that's what it was going to be, and it didn't sound very.
You've never done anything like that.
No, and all we were doing.
You've never done it.
No, and in fact, we were being told what we had to do. We were saying, "This is how it's going to go."
Yeah, I didn't know.
And we were like,
"I've sat in those meetings."
Right, and we were like, you know what? I was not happy with one part of it. I was like, "This is not really showing off Miami at all. We're inside a hotel. You don't see the skyline. You're at the beach. It's all indoors, most of it." Yeah, and the outdoor scene was by a pool, which anybody can have. I can be in LA. Yeah. You don't have to do it in Miami. Saying it was Miami, the only thing that made it Miami was it was Mr. 305. Pitt was there. So who,
by the way, is an incredible.
No, he's a dynamic, wonderful, brilliant individual. So I spoke with Monty Trainer.
You just tapped on the WUG on your nose,
by
the way, which I really like.
So Monty Trainer, who was an individual who's been involved with our community for many years, and was doing also the Coconut Grove Art Festival. He called me one day and he said, "Hey, I hear you're working with Pitbull on this New Year's Eve thing that you're doing. By the way, we've been doing something with our organization at the Bayfront Park for many years." But we'd be happy to, in effect, turn the reins over to you guys if you want to take over Bayfront Park.
Right.
And I was like, "Hey, that sounds like a great idea." Meanwhile, we're already producing the TV. We're producing the TV show. So that moment, I had to go from normal mode, comfort zone, to WUG mode, if you want to call it.
Oh, I love it. You plugged it. Okay.
I had to go crazy.
I just got the 5-minute mark from Camilla, who runs.
So that's when we were told no by everybody.
Yeah.
We were said, "This won't work.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it." The network said, "We're not going to allow you to do that. Right. All of it's going to get shot in our hotel."
Gotcha.
And we said, "You know what? To hell with it. Pitt and
What
I,
were you doing anyway?
we put up our own money.
Okay.
I
remember.
We put up,
A lot of
I don't even know if it was close to $1 million.
And I got to stop you because there's something I wanted to discuss with you.
Okay.
Currently, the Miami Herald is running a series on influencers and public schools versus charter schools. To get this clear, guys, I'm a huge proponent of charter schools because of what it's done for my children. And I also sit on the board of the Miami Children's Museum Charter School, which is an amazing school. Basically, if you break it down, a charter school has higher flexibility and more accountability, is what they say.
Yeah, and it's a public school.
So give me a minute of why. I know why, because I'm involved.
Yeah.
Give me a minute of why. Why charter schools versus public schools? And I'm sure you've given this speech
I think
100 times.
I think the biggest why, and it just popped into my mind as you asked, was that charter schools, by design, by DNA, their DNA, they are entirely, they're entirely accountable to their parents.
Yeah.
They have to be.
Yeah.
Remember, the traditional public school system, you were educated by zip code. You were told, you attend this school, you're not a customer. You're not a client. You're just a designee or an assignee. You're assigned to a school. That's all it is. And that's a defective model. I hate to say it. And it's not no one's fault. It's not like people are acting. They're not bad actors. It's not people trying to hurt anybody or do anything wrong.
And being involved in the back end of a charter school,
right?
I absolutely just admire the model,
right? Because
the model works,
and the model works because it's modeled after our market system. And one of the original proponents of the charter school movement.
You just smiled at me.
One of the first proponents of the charter school movement, who was a big fan of the emergence of school choice in America, and he wrote an entire piece on it in the New York Times, was Al Shanker, the guy who founded the United Teacher, the National Education Association, and the American Federation of Teachers. This individual, who had, I think President Clinton awarded him a Medal of Honor posthumously, or I don't know if he had passed away yet or not, but awarded him the Presidential Medal or whatever.
Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Freedom. Maybe that's the Freedom Medal.
Eduardo Padron.
Yeah, also had one of those.
Also was awarded
Precisely.
Right.
Precisely. Well, Shanker was one of the early believers, and he wrote saying, look, our system is broken because so long as the government is the one that dictates where parents must educate their children, and that is the model that we use to build our schools, they will fail. And he said, until you make parents the people choosing, and you have teachers and groups of educators competing with each other to offer better educational models to those parents, you're not going to get a healthy system.
This is exactly
now, you need to regulate it, and you need to oversee it to ensure there are no abuses, and that the system doesn't go off the rails.
Oh, and that's locked down.
Right.
I've known that as being the treasurer of that board.
Right.
Like it's
they're super accountable, and
Absolutely.
they're mindful of the fact that they are stewards of public money, and that they're delivering a public benefit with it. What sadly happens is that there are way too many people who don't understand what that is, and they manipulate the definitions of what it is, and use labels that are inappropriate and incorrect to somehow diminish the value of that movement. But the movement resonates best where it's most needed, and that's with the parents. Yeah. So I'm really not, I'm saddened when I see what is supposed to be an institution, a community institution like the Herald, take.
One second, I got two questions for you. I'm getting the cutoff signal, but you know what? I really don't care. We're gonna run into these two questions because what you're saying, man, is so important for the youth, so important for education, and it's one of the reasons that I believe so heavily in charter schools. I mean, I went to DC for you guys, to be a proponent of it. My two questions are, give me one word of why charter schools are a better option for parents than public schools. One word.
Just responsiveness.
Done.
Okay.
Done. That's a great one.
Yeah, they respond to the needs of the parents.
They respond to the needs of the parents.
Yeah.
If I could use one, which I never have, I asked that same question to Matt Caldwell, CEO of the Panthers.
Right.
I would say accountability.
Well, that was the one I mentioned right before responsiveness.
Okay.
Accountability. Parents care less about the accountability piece. You see what I mean?
Yeah. I know.
They care a lot. Their accountability in their respect is they vote with their feet. They don't like what they see. They don't go there. So you need to be beyond accountable. You need to be, responsive to their needs, or they won't come to the school in the first place.
Okay. I've always admitted that I get fired up and way too fired up. That's me. I get excited. I get whatever. That's
a good thing.
That's me.
Yeah.
What gets Fern Zulueta fired up? Like beyond fired up, like Chris Corey fired up,
It's the projects that I work on.
It's the new projects.
Like
and
Slam.
The new building.
Yeah, we're doing one now off of Brickell.
That's what gets you that's what gets you up in the
super
morning.
Excited.
That's what gets you in the WUG. That's what gets you going.
Because they're cool. We're working on a school now that's going in the Brickell area that's going to offer, it's going to be designed basically like a tech incubator.
Yeah.
And an accelerator. So the kids that go there are going to be expected to help build companies.
Who sources the innovation of ACADEMICA?
Who
sources it? Like where do the ideas come from?
I'm guilty of some of that. That's why when I said earlier
as in you do that.
That's been my role. A lot of it. And with collaborators.
Vision.
But in collaborating with people. Just like Pitt collaborates with people in his songs and writing music. I collaborate.
Which is making him successful.
I like to collaborate with great educators. So we have people, in our organization, like, Millie Sanchez or Adri Lima or Pitbull himself or Rene Ruiz or Kim Gillarte. These are all principals and teachers.
You didn't know this,
right?
But Rene Ruiz is a mentor to me.
He's a sharp guy.
Just by being in the room with him.
So we work in teams. So we'll sit around. Our architect, Rolando Llanes, brilliant thinker too. So I like to work with and surround myself, identify people, and then give them the freedom to dream where they hadn't had a chance to do so before. So imagine giving a lifelong educator and going to them and say, but I want you to help me come up with the next best school that's not out there yet, that we can reach and hopefully motivate an entire population of students who are not motivated and give them that opportunity. That's what makes the difference. I look at it all the time, and I understand it better through the years of working. It's been 20 some years. I'm working with kids and with schools.
And you used to work with my aunt, who
was a wonderful, brilliant lady.
She was a wonderful, brilliant
and a visionary. She always had great ideas.
Susan Corella, we miss you.
She was a beautiful lady.
You're a beautiful lady.
And I love working in a field like I am, where you can dream and you can implement changes like that and go right to market with them. Very agile, which is another word I was going to use when you asked me what agility. I just could never work within a system that it would take me 15 or 20 years to implement something like a dream, like a Slam or a Brickell Technology, academy.
Do you know when I graduated college, everybody went into work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Nothing against them. They had a great management system at the time.
Funny, yeah.
I was deemed a crazy person for becoming an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And there was nobody around that was telling me to dream. There was one person, actually, but...
well, that's the goal with that school. It's a school for entrepreneurs.
I know.
And what we're doing is...
I know you...
Creating...
There we go. That's like the governor of Florida.
I don't know, but somebody's calling.
Because you know what? I knew I only had 30 minutes with you, but you're going off on topics that are hitting me in the gut, man. Because I have children, twin 8-year-old boys.
Yeah, and they're beautiful boys.
And they're beautiful boys, and they're magic, and there's nothing I care about more in the world.
No, and they deserve the opportunity. And if they, look, let's hope they want to be entrepreneurs like their dad, right?
I don't know.
And well, we don't know. I don't know if that's a good. It should be a good thing.
It is a good thing.
We're losing.
I've lived an amazing life.
I don't come up with these things in a vacuum. I had read a piece a few years back by, I don't know, it was the chairman of Gallup, who wrote about the waning of the entrepreneurial class or people who are entrepreneurs in America. And this is documented. Business formation is in decline, and people are turning away from, the risky environment. It is risky. You wake up, and you sometimes you're saying, how did I manage to bet everything I have on this crazy idea? And if this doesn't work, I'm back out on the street with nothing. And that, unfortunately,
and I actually was there 7 years ago.
There you go. And that's the life. And I've been there. I've been to where it's like, man, this thing better turn around. In my life, I've been in situations where things had to turn around within a limited period of time, or I don't know, where I didn't have a paycheck.
The first episode of this, you probably don't, was with my ex-wife.
Oh, great.
I thought, hey, let's spark it off with somebody who probably doesn't like me too much. But you know what she said? She said that the day we had to borrow $50 to feed the kids,
yeah,
you moved forward and you didn't fail after that. And honestly, I believe that was the WUG.
Well, yeah. The moment that tells you have to seize the moment.
Seize the moment, man. Seize the moment. Okay, so
it's the double moment.
I know that I've
the meta moment.
I can't believe that I've been able to keep you. I can't believe that I've been able to keep Camilla off me, because she's right now staring at me with a look that is pretty impressive. Really, after having this podcast, which again, huge thank you for doing it.
Oh, my pleasure.
Tell me in one sentence what you think the WUG is now after we talked about it.
It's that it's either the moment where you seize the moment or the moment you realize you need to seize the moment. One of those. It's probably the moment where you seize the moment.
The moment you seize the moment, or the moment you miss the moment?
No, you realize you need to seize the moment. So it's about the moment. It's about seizing the moment, right? That's what you're saying. Present. It's being in that moment, right? Which is what we talked about earlier about what flow is about, being in the moment. But I think there's got to be a moment before that or during that of realization where you either go beyond it and you go into afterburners or that's the
word I want, man.
Yeah, afterburners or where the turbo kicks in, the turbocharger kicks in.
Absolutely. Okay, I always like to give guests like 1 minute to say what they want about ACADEMICA, Slam, anything that you want to say that might be helpful to ACADEMICA or Slam, which, by the way, again, I'm huge fans of.
Yeah, no, and I think we had an opportunity to discuss those while we spoke, so I don't know that I need a minute. I'm good. I think, look, I love what we do. Yeah, I'm good. I'm in the WUG, and or I WUG'd out.
You're WUG'd out.
You're sure it's just what's up, guys, right?
What's up, guys? So what you're saying is Fern has been shook by the WUG now, and he's ready to be closed out. Thank you so much, Fernando Zulueta.
Thank you, Chris.
You're an inspiration to the community and everything